Welcome back, everybody. I hope you guys are having a good week. Today I'm going to walk you through my go-to recipe for chocolate chip cookies. They're loaded with chocolate chips. They're nice and crispy on the outside, but also chewy on the inside. And there's a few secret ingredients that I'm going to talk to you about that kind of give it a twist. And when people eat these cookies, they kind of think to themselves, I wonder what that is. But anyways, let's talk through the ingredients. So we've got flour, 2 types of sugar today, so we have white sugar and brown sugar. Heaps of chocolate chips, can't have chocolate chip cookies without them. And then for the wet ingredients, we have vanilla, butter, and egg. Both the butter and the egg have been sitting out for about 2 hours to come to room temp. You really want all your ingredients at the same temperature. That's going to allow us to mix everything completely and we won't have a mix match of different ingredients. It also gives you that chewy texture. When the butter can melt evenly into the dough, that's what gives it the nice chewy texture. And then the 2 secret ingredients that I use is just a little bit of ground cinnamon and then just a little splash of almond extract. So let's get started. We're going to start with the dry ingredients and then move on to the wet ingredients. Let's get going. Now for the dry ingredients. What you're going to need is 1 1/4 cup of flour, and you can use all-purpose flour here. It's really important you put the flour through a sifter. You can see how flour starts to chunk together after a while, especially if you live in a place that's got a lot of moisture in the air. So if you don't have a sifter, you can always use a whisk. Just put this into your mixing container and just take a whisk to it and stir it around until all those clumps are gone and the flour is nice and smooth. But if you do have a sifter, it makes it really easy. And just turn this little handle. And this just processes all the flour. Make sure all those little clumps are broken up. It's going to get dust everywhere, but that's fine. Probably should have used a bigger bowl, but that's a-okay. But see how we're left with just a little bit of balls of flour. So I'm just going to toss that in the sink because I don't really want that into our dough. Alright. The next ingredient for the dry portion of this dough is baking soda. I actually missed that on the intro, so apologies there. So we need 1 teaspoon. So I got a 1/2 teaspoon measuring cup, so I'll do 2 of these. And then 1/2 teaspoon of regular salt. And these don't really need to go through the sifter because they're already thin enough. We'll just break up some of that baking soda so we get the right amount. Alright, so that's all set. Dry ingredients are ready. For the wet ingredients, we're going to start off by creaming together our 1 stick of butter and our 2 types of sugars. So let's get that bad boy in there. So for the white sugar, we are going to need 6 tablespoons. Kind of an oddball, but that's just the way this recipe's portioned out. So 1. And then for the brown sugar, we are going to need 1/2 cup of firmly packed brown sugar. Alright, so we're going to cream these 2 sugars together for 2 to 3 minutes. Alright, that should do it. So the next step is to add our egg. If you're worried about shell, you can do this in a separate container, but I trust myself there. Took the risk. It worked out. So now for this egg, you just want it to mix on low until it just incorporates. So the next step is for our vanilla and almond extracts. So vanilla, we want 1 teaspoon. And then for the almond extract, like we talked about earlier, it's just a little dash, you just want a little bit of that flavoring in there, but this can really overpower something really quick. I'll give it a tad more. All right, there we go. Maybe like 1/8 of a teaspoon, nothing too crazy. So let's mix these together. And we'll also add our little dash of cinnamon. So again, very small amount. Same thing with that almond, can really overpower it if you get a little too heavy-handed. We'll let that get mixed together nice and smooth there. And then we're just going to slowly add our dry ingredients. Let the flour mix together and then add a little bit more. And just do it little by little. This will really help prevent any clumping. We don't want to overmix the dough either, so definitely stop once you see that flour fully incorporate. And the last thing we got to add in here is our chocolate chips. Apparently they're childproof, my gosh. We need 2½ cups of chocolate chips. I know that sounds like a lot, but trust me, it is worth every friggin' morsel. Alright, that's just about 2½. Taste test on these. Nice and tasty. I'm actually using dark chocolate, but feel free to use semi-sweet or whatever you have on hand or whatever your preference is. So pour these bad boys in there. If you're using a stand mixer for this, definitely lock it because it's going to want to kick up on you. But stir this on low and just until you see a consistent mix of those chocolate chips. Perfect. Now that we have our dough prepped and ready, the next step is to get these dished out onto a baking sheet. I'm using this silicone mat. It definitely helps create a non-stick barrier, but if you don't have one of these, just use either tinfoil, parchment paper, or just go straight on the cookie sheet. I'm lazy, I don't like cooking these, so I found that using something in between, it makes cleanup immensely easier. But anyways, when I dish these out, I like to use one of these retractable or quick release, whatever they're called, ice cream scoops. This is like a 1-inch diameter. So you just take a portion and click the button and they come right off. And I would leave at least 1.5 inches, 2 inches in between these because they are going to spread out. The other nice thing about using one of these is that they make your cookies consistently the same size versus guessing with spoons or whatever else. But it's definitely quick and easy and life-changing once you get one of these. So we're just going to do 6 for this batch. We have plenty left. So let me get these into the oven. We have been preheating the oven at 350 and these are going to go in for about 10 to 12 minutes depending on the temperature of your oven. Just keep an eye on them, make sure that they're not burning. What you're looking for is a nice golden brown on top. So without further ado, I'm going to get these guys in the oven. And just like that, we've got a plate full of homemade chocolate chip cookies. After these cookies came out of the oven, I let them sit for about 2-3 minutes until everything kind of sets. And then I transferred them to a wire rack to finish the cooling process. And once they were all cooled, I put them on this plate and poured myself a glass of cold milk. And we're going to get right into the taste test. So let's see, this one looks pretty good. All right. So freaking good. I think the key to these cookies is the amount of chocolate chips. I think many times people skimp on the chocolate chips and sometimes you'll get 1-2 chips per cookie, but in this there's heaps. It's like every single bite you just got a mouthful of chocolate, which if you're a chocolate lover, these are definitely for you. Definitely keep some milk on hand though, because they are definitely rich and it helps break everything up. We really hope that you guys enjoy these cookies. Let us know what changes you would make to them, if it's adding less chocolate or maybe adding some nuts, or if there's different spices or extracts that you would use. But anyways, let us know what you guys think. And we'll see you next time. Thanks guys, see ya.